Let's try number 15, again in exercise set D. This one, we got a lot more premises, or at least a little bit more. We're trying to prove a disjunction. Now, with the rules we have so far, just our implication rules, we don't have a whole lot we can do to get a disjunction. Now, if it came already somewhere in our premises, we could get it many ways, but it doesn't appear that our disjunction is wholesale found somewhere in our premises. Instead of not P, we have P right there, and L we have right there. So we're going to need to do something to get a part of our disjunction and then get the rest of it. So take a look at the rules. What rules do we have that will result in a disjunction? We don't have many. In fact, it looks like we actually just have two. We have addition that results in a disjunction, and we have constructive dilemma that results in a disjunction. So probably in number 15, we're going to have to use one of them to get our final result. So what do we think we're going to use? So let's look at constructive dilemma. For that, we're going to need a disjunction plus conditionals that end up with, we would need it a conditional ending in not P and a conditional ending in L. I don't really see that going on. So probably what we're going to have to do is addition. So to use addition, that means we're going to want to get either the left side or the right side of the disjunction all by itself, and then we can just add the other side. So if we do a wish list, let's see, we can do it right there. Not P is on our wish list, but also L. If we could get either one of those things, we could just add the other. So we wouldn't even need to worry about the other. So which one should we try to get? Well, not P. That might be a little tricky. I mean, we have P. Somehow we got to get not P. If we had not O, that would work with line 4, modus tollens. So that would be nice. But how would we get not O? Well, we got O here, and so in 1, we could do modus tollens on 1 if we had not in. So we could put that on our wish list. How could we get not in? Well, we have in right there, and it's trapped in this big, longer compound statement. So maybe that might be a little tricky. I mean, even if we just got this part of number 6, it might not be very clear how we could get not in from that, right? Because modus ponens would, that would give us just in, but we need not in. So maybe it's not clear where to go, but remember we have two options. We could try to get not P, or we could try to get L. If we just get one of them, we can get the other, at least in the disjunction. So what about L? How would we get that? Well, if we had just this part of number 6 by itself, then we could get L maybe. Because look at number 2, we have not M. So if we just had this part, we could do not M disjunctive syllogism on 6, and that would give us L. So that would be nice. So we could put that on our wish list. M or L. If we just get that all by itself, we could then get L with line 2, disjunctive syllogism. So how could we get this? Well, since this is the right side of a conditional, we could get it by modus ponens if we just had the left side by itself. So if we just had S arrow N, that would give us the next thing up on our wish list with modus ponens. Well, how can we get S arrow N? let's see. We have S arrow R, and then we can follow this trail. So we need S arrow N, so we go S arrow R, but then we have R arrow P. Do we have P anything? I'm not sure. S arrow. Oh, yes, I'm totally missing 4. P arrow O. And we have O arrow N. Oh, and that's what we need. So we have this trail going from S to R, R to P, P to O, O to N. So we could follow that trail. We could follow it by modus ponens if we had an let's see, if we had an S to start the trail, we could do S arrow R plus S modus ponens would give us R, but I don't see S. So there is a second way we can go down the trail, and that's going to be hypothetical syllogism. So let's try that. So if we use 3, S arrow R, and then we follow the trail R arrow P, hypothetical syllogism, that will give us S arrow P. Now, since we have S arrow P, we can look at 4. Since that's P arrow O, we can get rid of the P middleman and just write S arrow O. And that's going to be what? Line 7 and line 4. Hypothetical syllogism. Again. Now, we look at 1 and we have O arrow N, so we can combine that with 8 and get rid of that O, and that will give us S arrow N. And that's 8 and 1 hypothetical syllogism. So now we got an item from our wish list, and what did we say we could do with it? Well, combine it with 6. So 6 and 9 modus ponens is going to give us M or L. So now we got this item on our wish list. And what were we going to do with that? Remember, we're trying to get one of the sides of our disjunction. So we could get L if we just combine 10 with 2. So 2 and 10, and that's disjunctive syllogism. So we deny the left side, and that'll give us the right side. So now we have L all by itself, and all we got to do is just add the other part of our disjunction. So we'll do that. It's 11 addition. And the result, not P or L. Awesome. That was a tricky one. We had to go down some different paths. The longer proofs and more complicated proofs often will, you'll go down dead ends and you'll have to try different things. Think about what the strategies we use to get this. Remember, we knew we were going to get a disjunction, so we thought about, well, what rules will result in a disjunction? And that helped guide our strategy. And so think about those types of principles when you're trying to figure out how to solve a proof. And the more you do it, the easier it'll become. It'll become second nature. You'll start to see like the play. You'll see what the offense is doing just by second nature. So you'll know what best defensive move to make, right? So that's maybe a football analogy or another sport analogy. Anyways, I'll see you in the next proof.